Hi, welcome. I'm here with Joe Taft. He is a recent graduate of the Breathing Deeply Yoga Therapy Advanced Program, C-IAYT, and I'm happy to talk with you today. And we're going to talk about a client Joe worked with. Thanks for doing this, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you worked with a client named Henry. Why don't you tell us about how you met him and how you got to work with him and the trajectory of your work together?
Yeah, Henry is an 83-year-old male, and his wife got my number from an occupational therapist who had been to my classes and knew that I did yoga therapy type work. And so she just reached out about coming and working with him. And so this was really interesting because it was during the yoga therapy training, and I actually never even documented this because I was like, oh, this person just wants me to come and teach them some movements, like make them move better, give them like private yoga classes, which I usually don't even do.
Right.
Um, but I felt drawn to it because I enjoy working with elderly people. And again, he's 83. And so, yeah, at first I didn't even document this. And then I started working with him and I found out, you know what? This is really satisfying, and really needs to be documented. I needed to start taking notes. So
Mhm.
that's how it came to be.
So what was his complaint? Did he have one or did he just want
Well,
to do?
he had a lot of things going on with his body. Recently, it had a few years before he had a shoulder surgery. He had a slowly progressing cancer, which was not really
Mhm.
causing any problems. So that was not a concern of mine. But his number one request the first day that I walked in is he's like, I want to learn how to get up off the floor. In the past, I could get off the floor, and now I can't get off the floor anymore. And it bothers me. So, of course, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. This person's older, they don't move well. And one of their doctors told them that he was the least flexible person that they'd ever worked. So that was like in his head.
That's always heartening, right?
So he's like the least flexible person that his doctor had ever worked with. So that was in his head.
So I guess what would be good for everyone to hear is like, how did you work with him? Did he come? Did he practice on his own? What did he do? What kinds of things did you have him do?
Yeah, the first thing I did was just start getting him in his body and inspiring him some because he wasn't super motivated at first. And um, and he was receptive to taking on the yoga as something that he really wanted to improve at. And so I just started teaching him movement patterns that would have to do with getting off the floor. He was really tight in his hips. During muscle testing, he had a little bit of mobility in his upper body, but super stiff in his hips. But he was pretty strong. He had some muscle mass and was pretty strong. So, which is a lot of clients is the opposite that I work with is the opposite. They have a lot of mobility because I work with so many yoga practitioners. They have a lot of mobility, but they're not very strong. And so we were able to just work on mobility from the beginning. And of course, I worked on mobility in a way he could start to, patterns that would get him off the floor, twisting and putting the hand down, getting the hips open enough to come from lying on the back to all fours, hands and knees, things like that.
How often did he come see you to do this?
Once a week.
And did he practice on his own or was that the
No,
entirety of
I
the?
tried to get him to practice on his own, and it was a no.
Mhm.
And like once he said he would do that, and he's like, I'm not going to do that. And normally I don't like, I even will let clients go that are not doing that. But he was 83. He had a great attitude. I was like, this is what he wants. And it's actually a pretty good idea for me to work with him because he doesn't know, he's not very embodied. He doesn't know how to take care of himself. And I think it's good
Yeah,
that I work with him regularly. He had the finances to do that. And so I started working with him, teaching him movement patterns. And most importantly, we started building a deeper relationship. And as that relationship deepened, he deepened his relationship to yoga. He wanted to become, to have awareness around not only getting off the floor and such, but he wanted to have more awareness in his own body because he started understanding that was going to help him age well.
he must have experienced some benefit right away for to even do that.
Absolutely.
Maybe
It
you
was
could
like,
just tell us a little bit about that, like
yeah, it
how
was
he
about the third
progressed.
session. I didn't even ask him to get on the floor first, obviously, but I got him moving, got some mobility going, and then had him work on his balance, all these different things. And then about the third session, I asked him, we would start on the floor. stretching on the floor, and I would help him up. And then that one, I was like, hey, you know what to do. I've walked you through getting up a few times and I've helped you. Do you want to try to get up this time? And he's like, oh, okay. And he took him like a minute and a half. It was a
But he
long
did
time.
it.
He was exhausted. Like, use the bookshelf. Like, use the
Yeah.
bookshelf. He was like, I'm off the floor. Um, I worked with him for quite a while. I don't remember now how long, and by the time it was our last session, it was taking him about 30 seconds to get off the floor. So he went from a minute and a half to like
Amazing.
30 seconds. And remember, he's aging all the time. And my favorite thing to tell him was, Henry, you are not supposed to be improving. You're supposed to be age, but you are improving. You are getting faster, getting off the floor.
Yeah.
You're getting better balance and you're getting more mobile. And your attitude's shifting. And he could really appreciate that.
But he must have really felt, I mean, I'd imagine like he really felt like he had a lot more like control over his life, even like if he ends up on the floor, right? He can get up. I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yep.
That he like felt more confident, probably, right?
And he liked to take walks, and he started feeling like not confident about taking his walks. Like he started using a walker, and over time, he built enough confidence that he felt more confident on his walk. So all of a sudden, just doing some yoga got him more confident in the rest of his life, taking a walk. And how big is taking a walk at 83? That's big.
So how long did you work with him?
I think it was like a year, and then he moved away.
So if you look at this almost as like some sort of model, if you look at like the kind of benefit to him doing yoga once a week, it's pretty big for him.
It's pretty
I mean,
big.
made changes in his life that were significant.
Yeah.
And how long were your sessions? An hour or something?
Yeah,
Like,
an hour. Yeah.
yeah. So 1 hour a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
So I wanted to tell you about some other clients that I've had also, but then when I was thinking about this one is one that just lights my heart up. Like,
Yeah.
there's clients
Yeah.
with,
Me
so like,
too. I'm listening. Oh,
there's like
lovely.
3 sessions, and like they were able to like not have surgery or something. And but in those 3 sessions, I didn't really build the relationship like I did with this person. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because you can even feel probably when I talk that I'm like, oh man, it strikes my
Yeah.
heart to have worked with someone
Yeah.
who's seen such a progression over a year.
Well, I mean, there's two things I just like to say briefly. One is, it's so awesome you did this. And one of the things I see all the time is people writing off people who are older. So it's an
Mm,
example, right?
yes,
Of it's not true you can't improve or be able to get off the floor
that's
or
right.
become more flexible. It's not true. Science says that, but
Right.
that's not how doctors and people talk to most older people. So the fact that you were able to like form a relationship and sort of get him to a place where he understood that is
Right.
really powerful.
And then there's my thing of like when I first worked with him, I was like, this is not my favorite kind of client at first, because I was like, he just wants to get off the floor. How exciting is that? It's, for me in my human mind, it wasn't that exciting at first. But as the relationship deepened and his being in the body deepened, it was really special actually.
Yeah, and you got the opportunity, and he got the opportunity to form that relationship, which benefited him. Because I'm just going to say, because you're a yoga therapist and because you have the time, you're not rushing him out the door, you have enough time to actually work with him. So it's a really lovely example of, what could be done. I'd really encourage anyone who's, looking for a yoga therapist, if they're watching this video and they're near Joe, want to work with them online. Joe, I got the opportunity to be with you in the practicum, and I just have to say you're like a lovely, open-minded human being, and I would send somebody to you. So I am giving you my extra, if it helps anyone, a seal of approval. Joe's a really competent yoga therapist and also just a pleasant person. So
Yeah,
I'm
well,
glad
thanks,
this
thanks for having
went.
me in the program. I really enjoyed it. I've really, more than anything else, I've enjoyed like the case studies and the practicum and just the online time where you get to hear cases and stuff. I think that's been the most powerful uh,
Yeah,
piece of the
yeah,
program.
definitely inspires me every day. So I hear that. All right. Well, thanks for talking with us, and
Yeah,
blessings on your work, Shanti.
thanks, Brent. Yeah.